Meira, welcome to Planet Bollywood, and first of all, more power to you for speaking up and coming first time on television and telling us about your story. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Could you please tell us in details what exactly did Anirban Dasbla did that day when you went to meet him? Of course, it was all over the papers, front news, we all read it, but still for our viewers who haven't seen that news yet, we would like to tell them right here on Planet Bollywood what happened.
I'll start from the beginning before I actually went there that day and all of that happened. I was very new to India. It was in 2016. I had only been here for a few months, and honestly, I came here on my own. I know a lot of girls, they come to this industry through an agency or something like that. Me being from Afghanistan, we're crazy about Bollywood. We grew up watching Bollywood, and I always had this dream of wanting to act in Bollywood. And I came here, and I was really on my own. I landed that day, and I was on my own and going forward. And I would do some research to look at agencies because I realized I do need proper representation if I'm going to be here. And I found Kwan. And at this time, like I was pretty naive. I found Kwan, and I found out about Anirban, and so I contacted him, and I contacted him on Instagram because I thought, like, if I contact him on Instagram, I'll reach out to him sooner than me emailing him. So I wrote to him, and I was very honest about being new here, about lacking representation, and I asked if I could meet with his team. And like, I do realize that Kwan, they don't really handle new talent, they handle celebrity talent.
Right.
So I wasn't really expecting much at this point. I just wanted to get out there. I thought I'll try. He did reply to me. He responded almost immediately saying, and he gave me an email, told me to contact these people, and then he enabled the meeting with his team. I met with the team, and as I said, I wasn't expecting much because I know they mainly handle celebrity talent, and the meeting didn't feel too successful. It was like, oh yeah, we'll keep in touch, and I kind of figured, okay, like, I'm not going to get much out of this. So I was a little disappointed, and I went back to looking into other options. But he contacted me almost immediately after that because he knew when the meeting was, and he asked me how had it. After I had told him that the meeting wasn't too successful, he said, okay, listen up. My team are very basic people. They only go for the type of talent who is similar to the girls who are in the top league today. They go for a girl next door. They want the next Alia Bhatt or something like that. They don't see raw talent. They don't know how to spot a star in the making, like a diamond in the rough. I am the man who sees something when no one else can. This is what I'm known for, actually. And I just remember at this point thinking, okay, well, I felt encouraged. I felt happy because I was like, okay, is he maybe implying that I do have something that's worth looking into, and maybe it's not what you see in the top today, but it could become that. And that made me excited. And so he asked to meet privately, so that he could evaluate me himself. And then he said, okay, let's meet at my workspace, as he called it. He didn't want to meet in public, and he said, I can't meet you anywhere between Bandra and Andheri West because I don't want the tabloids finding out about it. And I just remember thinking, okay, that's weird. I didn't even know that he was a man that the tabloids would write about him. I thought he was pretty, for a man behind the scenes, why would they care? And somewhere around this point, I was like, okay, something's not right. But I just ignored that feeling. And so he gave me the address to his workspace. That's what he called it. I didn't know much. And I came there. It was in Juhu, and it was an apartment. It was a full-on apartment that he kept for himself. He would call it a creative space. It was just a flat away from his family home, which I believe is in Khar or Bandra. I'm not sure. So I go in there. He immediately tells me, okay, let down your hair, get comfortable, sit the way you want to, and just opening up that kind of scenario. And we start talking. He's fairly normal to begin with. And then he starts talking a lot about himself, his accomplishments. He talks a lot about the different stars that he has discovered, new ones that he has like brought forward, and then he would talk a lot about Deepika Padukone, which he basically said that when he took on Deepika, she was very like she was struggling a bit to make an impact in the industry, but when he took her on and they worked on her, that's when this whole change happened and she became this star. And that was thanks to him and due to the work that they had done together. So he fully said that that was thanks to him, and he picked up the phone to call her. Just, and I don't know, prove to me further that they're like this. They work very tightly together, and they were discussing her Vogue magazine cover. And so I was just sitting there waiting, and obviously I'm a little impressed. I'm like, okay, wow, this guy has helped Deepika come forward, and I look up to Deepika. I really like her. So yeah, I was kind of excited about that. And he kept on talking, and everything else was in the same theme. He would only talk about how he is a man who, just like he did with Deepika, gets girls to come out of their shell. Like, you have to find your inner sexiness, and you have to find sex appeal, and that's what it's all about. It's that you have to find something sexy, and that is what makes you a star, and nothing else. And he told me stories of how he would do this. He had different methods. And this is one that I mentioned in the article. He told me several, but the one I mentioned in the article, because it really just made me kind of, I don't know, I felt very uncomfortable when he said it, was this one girl who had, she had potential, he said. She was gorgeous, but she was too timid and she was too shy. And he needed her to just break out of that. So he locked her in his balcony. He would lock her outside, and he said that, okay, you need to, and you're going to do it until you reach climax. And until you do that, you're not allowed to come back in. And he locked her out. And like when I was in that apartment, it was very easy for neighbors to see in. It was very like dense. So I thought about that, and he told it with such a sense of pride that I didn't even like at that time find it so weird, even though I went back home thinking like, what the f- did he just tell me? Right. But because he was so proud when he told me then that, okay, this is what I do, I can imagine what kind of power I have. He is saying that the fact that you're so smart is what makes you really sexy, but no one else is going to be able to see this because you're not going to be able to sit with them like I am sitting with you now. They have maybe 3 or 4 seconds to make up their mind about you. So how are you going to show them that you're so smart and sexy? I can help you work on this. Like, I made it seem like, okay, what you have, only I can see it. No one else will be. And I just kept thinking that no one else was actually telling me this. And maybe he's right in a way. Maybe this is what I need to work on. And I was still feeling pretty encouraged during this entire talk. And then he tells me that in order to do all of this, in order for us to find your like inner sexiness and your sex appeal, you have to trust my process completely. You can't question the things I will tell you to do. We're going to work on this extensively. And he just like made it sound like this entire plan. And at this point, I don't even think I fully understood everything. It was just so many words and a whole lot of like planning. And I just kept thinking that, okay, he's speaking a lot, and somewhere this feels so uncomfortable. But I just want to tell people out there that being uncomfortable is an everyday thing. Right. With every man you meet in the industry, you're uncomfortable. So this is a normal for me. I'm not sitting there thinking this guy is weird, I'm going to run. Every day I'm thinking that someone is making me a little uncomfortable and they're weird. So I'm just like, I'm taking this. And so he gives me an assignment. And this assignment is to, he said, imagine you're doing a cover shoot for GQ in America. And you have to pick out 4 sexy looks. And he says, like, they have to be sexy. I want you to think about why you have chosen these looks, how they represent your sex appeal. And then I want you to bring these looks to my workspace. I'm going to photograph you in them, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to go through it. I Googled GQ America. I saw a whole lot of nudity on their covers, to be honest. And I felt so uncomfortable. I didn't say much then. I just said, okay. And then I didn't reply to him for days. I was Googling GQ. I was like, is he serious? Is this what he wants me to bring to him? I spoke to friends, and I said, and other friends I have in the industry, and they said, okay, so Anirban wants me to imagine I'm doing a cover for GQ and pick out 4 sexy looks, and then he wants to photograph me in them.
Right.
And this is the first time I actually heard some stories about him. One friend of mine was telling me that, you know what, a lot of girls have spoken to me about him, said some weird things. I would be very careful if I was you. And at this time, I could understand what they were saying, but at the same time, I feel like we have this connection, me and him, because he's like, you're smart, you're this, you're that, I'm going to help you, and all of those things are in my head, all the ways he could help me. So I did feel that we have that connection. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go with this anyway, because maybe it's different with me or whatever. I don't know what I was thinking, and I don't even think I was thinking clearly. I just knew that I was very uncomfortable, and I couldn't get myself to do it. I looked at the photos of GQ, and I thought about like what looks, and I just thought, no, I couldn't even get into that mind space. Right. So I didn't reply to him for days because I didn't even know how to say it without kind of like offending him and his way of working and his assignment. So I just told him that, you know what, I'm not comfortable doing this, but we could take on the assignment in a different way if you want to. I said that I would pick out looks online that I somehow think represents my
personality.
Strengths.
Yeah. And just it would be like old Hollywood stars that I could connect to somehow, and I would create different collages, and I just wanted to show him my vision, of how I see myself and where I want to reach. And he was like, yeah, okay, you can bring the photos, and come to my workspace anyway tomorrow. And just in case, bring the looks. I went there the next day. I didn't carry the looks with me. And when I came in, I just told him pretty straightforward as soon as I got in that, okay, listen, I don't have the looks, but I hope we can talk anyway. And immediately I sensed a change in his attitude. Like, he was grumpy, and he was like, oh, okay, well, all right. And we sat down, and I started talking about my inspirations and different like actresses, and he got bored. Like, I could instantly tell he got bored. He picked up his phone, he called someone. Again, I think it was Deepika. So I just got the sense that, okay, these guys are so close because he keeps calling her. And then when he talked to her for quite some time, and then when he hung up, he said, you know what, I'm pretty busy. I really have to go to this thing. Just so you know, so we need to wrap up. And he basically told me to leave, and which is fine. Like, I understood that, okay, it's not going to happen. I called for a cab through an app. So while I was waiting for the cab, there was some awkward silence, and then he just looks over at me, and he says something in the line of really sexy, and he just leans forward to kiss me, and I do back off, but at the same time, I'm thinking, how do I do this without making him even more angry? Like, he already seems so pissed off, and I'm just gonna be like, what are you doing? Like, I just carefully backed off. I really did not know what to do. I got a little scared. I didn't even know this man. I didn't know what his reaction would be. And he turned around and he said that, listen, these are the things that you have to do if you want to make it in this industry. And he would tell me, kind of in a mean way, that it doesn't matter how well read you are, how much of a feminist you are.
Right.
you these are the things you're going to have to do. And if you can't do it, just pack your bags and go back home now. He said that. He said, you should just go back home because this is how the industry works. And I don't know. He also said something in the lines of like, it's okay to not sleep with everyone. He's like, I'm not telling you have to sleep with everyone, because if everyone who slept with someone would be a star, we would have millions of stars. You don't have to sleep with everyone, but you're going to have to kiss or touch and tease them and make them feel like they're wanted. And kissing is always okay. Tell me how much he loves kissing, and that it's something that he always does, even though he's in such a happy relationship with his wife, and he doesn't want anyone else other than his wife. He's kissing other girls. I was really uncomfortable at this time. I remember my palms were getting kind of sweaty and my heart was racing, and I was just like, oh, okay. I didn't say anything to that, to what he had told me about me having to do certain things. I just wanted to leave. And my cab reached. So I got up, and he got up to kind of, I don't know, escort me out. And as I was going to say goodbye, he just kind of like pushes himself against me again to try and kiss me again. And this time I remember I was paralyzed. I stood there and I couldn't really do anything. So I just said, okay, bye. And I ran out. I didn't really run, but I walked out. After that, we didn't talk much. We didn't talk for quite some time. I just remember I would go through everything that happened over and over again. And he, after a while, started contacting me again. He would write to me and call me. And initially, I don't know, I did pick up his calls. I did write back. I seemed pretty normal, which I kind of regret now, because maybe like that gave him the idea that I was fine, that like whatever he did was fine, because I did reply. But it just like it hurt so much every time, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So he always wanted to meet, and instead of being like, no, I'm never going to meet you again, I was like, yeah, I don't know, see, I'm not in town. And then towards the end, I stopped replying, because that was all I could do. Stop responding. So he would send like question marks, like aggressively, question mark after question mark. I'm just like, he wouldn't accept the fact that I didn't want to pick up his calls anymore, that I didn't want to write to him anymore. So after I had just basically ignored him for quite some time, he met with a friend of mine, and it was strictly like a professional type of thing with her agency and his agency, and they were meeting with a lot of girls. And when he was talking to my friend, I don't know how they got into it, but they were saying like, oh, so you know Meira? He asked my friend, and she said, yeah, Meira is my friend. And he said, listen, you need to tell her, you tell your friend that she's not going to make it in this industry. She doesn't have what it takes. Just tell her to go home, like it's for her own good. And he would tell me the same thing, that you know what, just pack your bags. You don't have what it takes. Even though I was hurt by hearing that, because I don't know, obviously it hurts hearing that. I was also aware of the fact that it was probably his ego speaking, because I didn't give in, or I didn't reply to his calls. I didn't want to go back to his place anymore. So I was trying to keep sane in all of this, thinking that, you know what, it's fine. And I kept thinking to myself how, okay, so like we all know of this behavior. It's not just me. We all know this, but no one is doing anything about it. And not only are they not doing anything about it, they are still working with him. He has, or had, full industry support, and he had this vast connection, like network connection with people from all sides of the industry. And it made me think of how this system of power and abuse of power is so deeply rooted into this big machine that we call Bollywood, and how enormous this machine is, and how small I am. And I just knew that if I stay, this machine will just run over me without hesitation, and my heart just could not bear anymore.
Planet Bollywood में फिलहाल वक्त है एक छोटे से ब्रेक का. We'll be right back. You don't go anywhere.
Meera, post your story when you came out, there was this news where the police had to rescue Mr. Anirban Blah from committing suicide. A suicide note was found. What do you think of all that happened?
Well, oh God. When I heard of the suicide attempt, it was sent to me by the journalist who was writing my story. So she sent it to me because we were obviously already speaking. And I just remember how angry I was. I don't think I've been that angry for a really long time. I was angry because first and foremost, I thought, what a coward that this man has put so many women through so much for so many years, and then he's being pressured for 1 week. It hadn't even been a week since the first allegations of those first 4 women came out, and he's attempting suicide. But then again, I was more angry because, like, I know the way that he works. There's no way he was actually going to attempt suicide, I feel. That's what I felt. I didn't feel that it was legit. And what angered me the most, I think, still was that in this note, he talked about mental health, and he talked about how, I don't know, bipolarity. And it just made me angry because I asked myself, okay, do you have that diagnosed? No, he does not have that diagnosed, yet he's just throwing around this term as if it's nothing, trying to cover for himself in some way, saying that, oh, maybe I'm sick. No, I feel like you're spitting on everyone who is actually sick. It's not some alter ego that you have that is doing all of these things. It's you. So please take responsibility. And that's what I felt. And I was just really angry, and I was scared because I didn't know how everyone would perceive it. I didn't know if, like, okay, are people going to feel sorry for him now? Are they going to buy into this? And then if I won't be able to tell my story, because if I tell my story, then it's just going to be seen as someone, I don't know, who's kicking on someone who's already down. And I felt sad because I thought, okay, people might never hear it, then they're going to buy into this.
Thank you, Meera, for being so honest and vocal with us, and thank you for joining us on Planet Bollywood. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
It's time for our Style Today segment, and we'll tell you who was wearing what and looking stunning as always. First up on the list is Janhvi Kapoor, who was spotted wearing casuals. Well, she wore a pink printed tee paired with blue ribbed straight denims and nude heels. Well, she definitely looks simply stunning. Next is Sonakshi Sinha, who was spotted wearing an all-black avatar, wearing a black tee paired with ripped black pants and black jacket tied over the waist, carrying a black backpack too with her, and the grey and pink sports shoes added a hint of colour to her otherwise black look.
Well, we spotted Amir Khan wearing a maroon checked shirt, and he paired them with black jeans and black ankle boots. He was carrying a black hoodie with him and wore nerdy glasses. Looked simple yet very comfortable. वहीं आलिया भट्ट नजर आई in a sea green kurta paired with navy blue jacket over it and beige sneakers. She was carrying a sling bag and wore triangular sunnies to complete her look. वहीं हमने ऐश्वर्या राय बच्चन को स्पॉट किया wearing a black blazer with sequin detailed sleeves and black pants and a black tee underneath. She accessorized it with black palms and wore minimal accessories with red bright lipstick, which added the glamour. And on that note, we give all our celebrities a big thumbs up from Zoom and Myntra. Well, this brings us to the end of episode on Planet Bollywood. But before we go, let's quickly tell you about what we're wearing today. Well, I'm wearing a black spaghetti top, and I've paired them with maroon pleated skirt and gold accessories, and I've paired them with golden pointed heels.
Well, I'm wearing a green floral off-shoulder top paired with black pencil skirt with minimal accessories and black heels.
And if you like our looks, go check it out on Myntra. This is me, Sagarika Chetri, signing off.
And this is me, Rashita. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. You don't go anywhere, and keep watching Zoom, styled by Myntra.